I come from a Fauji background. I ended up joining the army, which I had planned to do earlier. Always take the team together, and you always walk at the pace of the last man.
To allow India to do their skills in languages, so that if people need our skills, they should start speaking the language जो हमें आती है.
Kindness तो एक underlining theme होनी चाहिए किसी भी टीम की, because तभी वो टीम साथ में रहेगी और खुश रह के हम जितना काम कर सकते हैं हम दुखी रह के नहीं.
You have never met someone like me. I am a rare experience, unique, absolutely. As are you yourself, or anybody watching this podcast, actually anybody walking this planet. All of us, rare, unique souls. True story. Quickly translate this for my Hindi audience. मुझ जैसे इंसान से आप कभी नहीं मिले हैं, मिल ही नहीं सकते, है ही नहीं. मैं खास हूँ, खास नहीं, अनोखी भी नहीं, अद्वितीय हूँ मैं. बुरा ना माने, इंटरनेट पे ना लोग बात खत्म होने से पहले ही बुरा मान जाते हैं. आप भी हैं खास, मैं दिल रखने के लिए नहीं कह रही. मैं खास हूँ ना, मैं आपको कंफर्म कर रही हूँ, आप भी खास हैं, अद्वितीय हैं, अनोखे हैं, बिल्कुल मेरी तरह आप भी हैं. लेकिन ये एहसास मुझे पहले भी था, अब यकीन में बदलवाया है मेरे आज के मेहमान ने. कैसे बदलवाया और उन्होंने मुझे क्या यकीन दिलाया? ये कि देखें, यूनिक और रेयर तो हम सब हैं, अनोखे हैं, हम सब खास हैं, लेकिन वन ऑफ इट्स काइंड भी हो सकते हैं. वन ऑफ इट्स काइंड मतलब अपनी तरीके का अकेला, ठीक है. और वो जो फासला तय करना होता है ना, हर इंसान को अपॉर्चुनिटी मिलती है, सारा दुनिया तो सबकी सेम ही है और हम सबको नए नए टेस्ट रोज मिलते हैं, लेकिन हम में से बहुत कम लोग होते हैं जो हमारे सामने जो अपॉर्चुनिटी आती है उससे डरते नहीं है, शुक्रगुजार होते हैं कि भगवान ने हमें चुना है इस मौके के लिए. और फिर विल मूव माउंटेन्स टू मेक टनल्स लिटरली, ठीक है. आज के मेहमान से हम ये सीख सकते हैं कि हम वन ऑफ इट्स काइंड कैसे बन सकते हैं, क्योंकि हम सब बन सकते हैं. हम अगर आप वो कैटेगरी के हैं जिनको लगता है कि पीपल वर्क आर्म टू गो, प्लीज लीव दिस पॉडकास्ट. क्योंकि आप अगर वो वाले कैटेगरी के हैं कि आपको ऑलरेडी पता है कि आप बेहतर हो सकते हैं, आप इससे भी अच्छे इंसान बन सकते हैं, आप अपने खुद की लाइफ में वन ऑफ इट्स काइंड एक एक्सपीरियंस करना चाहते हैं, उसके लिए आप उतनी मेहनत करना चाहते हैं, आप इनसे शॉर्टकट सीख लें आज. On the Creating Kinder Content podcast with me, Mallika Bajaj, honored to have Col Parikshit Mehra, director of the world's highest tunnel at 10,000 feet in Himachal Pradesh, in India, a tunnel like no other, where there are rocks, but the rocks are soft. Director, Atal Tunnel Mission, Col Parikshit Mehra, grateful to you, grateful for you, grateful for what you've built for us. And without me further ado, can I please request you to introduce yourself to my audience in 3 words. आप 3 शब्दों में अपने आप को इंट्रोड्यूस करें to my audience, ताकि हम आपको आपके खुद की नजरों से बेहतर जान पाएं.
I'm afraid I might come across as a very serious person, but then that's who I am, I think, in 3 words. One is I'm objective, you know. I think I'm someone who likes to address the elephant in the room. No beating around the bush, get on to what we're here to do, get it done. So I think that is one. The other thing which is not so serious is I'm outdoorsy. You know, I like to get out, meet people, see new places, interact with nature around, interact with people around. Oh, that's it.
And Roxy.
Yeah. So yes, and I think the best way to live is to feel your surroundings, meet people around you, learn from people, get a ground touchy feel of things, and I think that way one can function best. So I think that's one. The other thing that I'm a realist. So I think I'm somebody who's always believed that you should always take a reality check, and that's the best way to approach everything, because when you take a reality check, you know what your limitations are. Only then can you work on them and get things going. So yes, then you approach it with optimism, with effort, but take a reality check. One shouldn't live in any iota of feeling a certain way that they are not, or assuming capability that they don't have. I believe ambition without capability is one of the biggest banes that we have. So I think we must all keep, and I try and imbibe that in my personality. That wherever I'm in new grounds, I try and take a check, put some effort, get it going. Yeah.
Lovely. I think Roxy here, who is also my co-guest at this point, has taken great offense to you addressing the elephants in the room and not Roxy.
and the Rottweilers in the room.
So the realist in you is like, well, great. Thanks for the intro. But now, would you also then share with me, are these words that you have picked up on the way on your journey about yourself, or are these words that were attached to you as you were growing up as a child?
No, I'll be very honest. I think these are things that I've picked up on the way because I've been very fortunate with the exposures that I've got. I come from a Fauji background. I ended up joining the army, which I had planned to do earlier, and then I started liking this life. And within the army, I was fortunate to, specialize into tunnels and in construction, which is rare. Because I'm a combat soldier, and but it happened, and I was posted in Bhutan at one time, and somebody told me that we need tunnels in the army, and why don't you do something? And I ended up doing a master's at IIT Delhi, and so when you're 10, 11 years into service, and you've out of engineering college for the past about 14 years, and you land up in an IIT with students who are half your age there, so you really have to put in a lot of effort to keep up, and you get a reality check when you get 2 marks out of 40. And you're telling everyone I'm a distinction holder civil engineer. So there, yes. So I think along the way you learn that objectivist majorly because I must say that I was a keen reader of Ayn Rand, and one thing that I liked about what she wrote was about objectivism, and I think that I read her when I was still in college, I believe, or later part of my school, and that stayed with me forever. That we must address things objectively, and so obviously her philosophy is a lot about also that the only way to measure things is when materially it can be created, and there's no point of say to beat around the bush and do what you're there for. Agnostic to your own personal opinions about things. If you're there for something, you must get it done. And then the army reinforces that in you as well, because you're mission oriented and you know that you're here for a particular thing. And as much as leading is important, so is following. So sometimes you need to follow orders and get things done when you're working with the team, and you have to bestow your full faith in the leader. And I think so that is something that I learned along the way, and also what I read. And yeah, so it was a bit of here and there. Yes.
Lovely. So your journey, journey. Now, great, and it sort of reinforces my introduction where I was saying that all of us find ourselves in rare opportunities, but it takes a lot of objectivity and learning and getting a 2 out of 40 to then become one of its kind, which I know you have become, to also go on to building a tunnel which is one of its kind, and we'll get to that. But beginning May, can you also tell us, because we're a little bit of a Hindi-English mix audience, I don't want the other parts to be left out. Can you share koi experience or any experience that has come through where you remember being felt like you're not good enough, और आपको किसी ने ऐसी कोई kindness कोई act करी है, where you suddenly realize that मुझे जो एहसास हुआ ना, मुझे ये सबको कराना है, like that act of kindness that you'd want a ripple effect for. Do you remember something that?
So right, I'll give you 2 instances. I think one instance goes back to the military academy. I came out of engineering college into the military academy, and as I said, I didn't want to join that time. I just gave an exam which I was not supposed to write, because we as engineers are not supposed to write those written exams, but I gave it with someone, and I joined, and I ended up going there because the family wanted that we should have someone in the army also, in this generation to join. And I wasn't a very good runner then, and so there was this guy who told me that there are 2 ways of doing it. One is you do it the military way, where we have sessions and you'll improve, and the other way is to do it with more compassion. So during the lunch breaks on his cycle ride, he would be sipping a soft drink but make me run with him. And with those little runs that I did with him for 2-3 months, I became one of the better runners in the academy. So I think that was super kindness. He could have easily done it how we do it in the academy with others, and that's I learned it there that everything can be done with kindness. We can achieve anything with kindness as well. You don't need to be crude. You don't need to be very strict. You don't need to push people to their boundaries. You can actually take them through the process with a lot more kindness. And I think that way, even today, I love running. At this age, I'm not running full marathons, but I'm still running half marathons because that stayed with me. I started liking running. So I think that was one. The other thing, which was a little more profound and a little more deep, was once we were working very hard on a certain thing, and this very senior officer who told me, he says, "Don't forget that uh, as you work so hard, life is also passing you by." And that stayed with me. After those years, I made it a point to give myself more time for my own hobbies, for reading. I'm into long distance cycling also now, so I gave myself time for that. Probably got back to reading more. Got back to more sport. Got back to making more time for family. So I think these are two acts of kindness which I remember this now. But many more people have been really, really kind otherwise as well.
Lovely, glad, because I think on the podcast, our intent is to sort of reinforce or go back to times that we've taken for granted, because like I personally think that when life really hits you, I think it hits all of us, we only survive because of the memories of acts of kindness, or like the gentler moments, the softer moments. And so I think that's why the podcast, and I'm glad that you've shared this, because you've also in a way answered one of the questions on the podcast. But I'm going to put, what is the kindest thing you do to yourself consciously every day?
I think the kindest thing that I do to myself consciously every day is to give myself a little time. I think that is the kindest thing that I do for myself. I make it a point to give myself a, at least a few minutes, if not an hour in a day, which is something. Whatever I do, I maybe go for a run, I read, I listen to a podcast while I'm on the run, for myself, just to feed myself what I like to do. I think that's the kindest thing that I've been doing for myself. Yes.
Great. Well, I hope you never need to hear this, because this is for everybody else. But I have also had feedback from all my other guests saying that on their toughest days where they don't feel like showing up, they have heard this podcast and reminded themselves of why they do what they do. So maybe this could be one thing that you could hear later. But moving on, because we've only known a very small part of your life with what has happened with building as director for Atal Tunnel, and building it in 2015, and then the spotlight in the rescue, and then surviving, and then bringing out everybody, which is unheard of, because as you would obviously know, tunnels and deaths are known. And then here you are with 41 people coming out of tunnels that are supposed to have rocks, but these are soft rocks, like things that we've never heard of. So we'll get into that. But on your journey, how has your service influenced your understanding of kindness, and how do you think it's shaped your definition of being this leader that you are?
So I believe one thing that the organization has taught me, that you always take the team together, and you always walk at the pace of the last man. And I think when we can do that, we ensure that we get all our might, we concentrate all our might to what we're doing, because we take care of the last, probably the slowest member of our team. Slowest member and that's relative. A person might be slow on a certain mission, but he would be the fastest on probably something else. So keeping, I think that's something that this organization has done, to that we have to function as a team, and that really, really matters, because what happens is, when you really function as a team, you ensure that you get all the skill sets working for the mission that you work on. So I believe that is something that this organization has taught me. And the other thing about kindness is that even when your people are down and out, you will stand by them, because you never leave them behind. I think you don't leave them behind in war, you don't leave them behind in peace, you don't leave them behind in life. And I think that is something that my organization also has always taught us, that We always have people around us who are not doing so well professionally, sometimes in personal life, but we always make it a point that we take out time, we take them along, we give them a reason to smile about, and probably help them wade out of whatever they're going through. So yes, that's very much the social fabric of the organization that I belong to. Yes.
So this is at the highest level, because like we're saying that the pressures that you deal with are not only a part of, I mean, you're at the highest level performing, protecting the country, keeping it safe. All of that is different. But then again, you're also, like you said, put into a mission which is extremely high pressure, never been done before. It's information you don't have at hand. And now you're leading a set of people that you don't necessarily know much about, right?
Mhm.
So that is already a pressure in itself, also because you are learning for yourself. So there are multiple parallel roles here. But that is one side, is the leadership. Great point that you brought out about not leaving people behind as well. Also, from the expert that you are for the world that we live in right now, for people who have now started, I mean, I think it's the fact that we have so many choices, the fact that it feels like, yeah, we're all great, because we take our freedom for granted. As an
Mhm.
army expert, what would you like to tell us on, can you expand a little bit on what is it that you think are people doing wrong around you, where the choices we're making are just so, let's blink it people, or let's blink it jobs, or let's blink it family, and let's blink it a dog. Like, what is there anything that maybe it's just bothering me, or like, yeah, can you give us your expert
So
opinion?
I think so I'll go back to being outdoorsy in that sense of feeling the ground. I think somewhere along the way we've lost touch with the ground on a lot of things. Where it's very easy to blink at something, to get somebody, get people to do something for you. You see the people in all realms, and in all stratas are probably losing out on physical skills, which are probably the most essential for everyday life. uh, we probably don't have as good carpenters, as good electricians, as good plumbers as we need. So it's that is something which no one fancies today, which is not correct. So at that stage, then when we become engineers, most of us want to also do an MBA and get into a management job, and we don't want to do something physical, we don't want to do enough research, we don't want to develop products. And if we are to make a mark in this world, and if we are to really develop as fast as we want to develop, we'll have to manufacture. To manufacture, we'll have to first learn the basic skills, practice them, research more, dabble more with things, experiment more. I think we're not doing that enough in our everyday individual lives, and also as a nation. I think that's something that we really need to do. My organization per se is we are in the business of mission accomplishment. We necessarily do not need to and we should not also optimize the resources. But outside this domain, I think we need more optimization. We need to ensure that we use least resources and still produce maximum, and produce something that we can probably send out to the world, because in the end that is what is going to make our people richer, and probably make us attract resources from the world towards us. So I think we need to do a bit of that. I don't know if I dabbled into some other territory altogether.
No, 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 no. This is a good territory. I think it's a great space to be in, because जैसे आप कह रहे हैं that I genuinely think और मुझे ये लगता है कि जैसे I think this is a conversation you and I also started talking about that. Given, I mean, it's not something that I think factually correct. India is the youngest population, right?
Mhm.
And all other countries don't have the kind of bandwidth we have. So I think that is our asset. Um, हमारी रीढ़ की हड्डी हमारी युवा पॉपुलेशन है, बट हमारी युवा पॉपुलेशन को ही अगर हम ये नहीं बताएंगे कि आपको मेहनत करनी पड़ेगी और आपको अपना ब्रेन यूटिलाइज करना पड़ेगा, बिकॉज हाफ द थिंग्स दैट वी आर बिल्डिंग फ्रॉम विकसित भारत टू द वर्ल्ड, we are users, core users, and we are now also sending leaders to other countries because they lack the intelligence, the expertise, the exposure, the talent जो Indians में है. Like, I know there are a lot of people globally will probably find this sensitive, but it is the truth. We make some.
What you say, आप what you said is so correct. क्यों हमारे लोग बाहर जाके एक्सेल कर रहे हैं? क्योंकि प्रॉब्ली बाहर इकोसिस्टम बेटर है। लोग तो हमारे ही हैं, दिमाग भी हमारे लोगों का है। यही लोग वहां पे जाके कर पा रहे हैं बिकॉज इकोसिस्टम बेटर है। उस इकोसिस्टम को हमने यहाँ पे रिक्रिएट करना है, वो जरूरी है। दैट इज वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट फॉर अस बिकॉज इफ यू डोंट क्रिएट दैट इकोसिस्टम then that's how this business works. The good people will always like to be more creative, and they will always, so to say, meander towards where they find a better ecosystem to use their skills. So one is हमारे लोगों को skills पे काम करना पड़ेगा। आज हम यंग पॉपुलेशन है, पर अगर हम अनस्किल्ड रहेंगे तो हमको कौन देगा, हम क्या करेंगे?
करेक्ट।
सिर्फ यूथ से तो कुछ नहीं होगा, यूथ को कुछ करके दिखाना पड़ेगा, उसके लिए स्किलिंग करनी पड़ेगी, और स्किलिंग हर लेवल पे होती है। आप सबको साइंटिस्ट बनने की जरूरत नहीं है, डॉक्टर इंजीनियर बनने की जरूरत नहीं है। अगर आप बहुत अच्छे, मैं हमेशा बताऊं, अगर आप बहुत अच्छे कारपेंटर भी बन सकते हैं तो आज के डेट में एक बहुत अच्छे कारपेंटर का भी बहुत अच्छा फाइनेंशियल करियर भी है। फॉरगेट एनीथिंग एल्स। एंड रिस्पेक्ट तो है ही है। आज हम लोग एसोसिएटेड रहते हैं अपने घरों में ऐसे पुराने कारीगरों से जो कितने सालों से कारीगरी का काम कर रहे हैं। हम उनको बहुत रिस्पेक्ट से देखते हैं बिकॉज उनकी जो हाथ की कला है उसकी रिस्पेक्ट है। थैंकफुली अब जैसे जैसे हम और डेवलपिंग कर्व में ऊपर जा रहे हैं, इन कलाओं की रिस्पेक्ट और बढ़ने लग गई है, क्योंकि हम शायद सेल्फ रियलाइजेशन से सेल्फ एक्चुअलाइजेशन की तरफ बढ़ रहे हैं। आर्ट्स की, स्किल की, हाथ के काम की वैल्यू बढ़ रही है। तो इट इज इम्पोर्टेंट कि हम में से जिन लोगों के अंदर ये कला है उसको हम डेवलप करें। एंड we should be able to tell the world that we in India have such great history with these things. We have heritage with these things. Heritage is not only about wealth and buildings, it's also about what generations have taught generations below. And some of our people are so well skilled, and it's important that they come to the fore. They are able to show the skill to the world, and then our products should gain that kind of center stage that they had probably pre-imperial era. इसमें डाउट नहीं है कि इंडिया के प्रोडक्ट्स वर वन ऑफ द बेस्ट, बट ऑब्वियसली इंपीरियलिज्म की वजह से, उसकी इफेक्ट की वजह से हमारी क्वालिटी वेंट डाउन, हमारी माइक्रो इकोनॉमीज भी खराब हुई, हमारा प्रोडक्ट भी खराब हुआ, हमारी कॉटन खराब हुई, हमारे इम्प्लीमेंट्स खराब हुए। ठीक है, बट नाउ इज द टाइम दैट वी रियलाइज दीज थिंग्स। हम एडिक्वेटली मॉडर्नाइज्ड हैं कि हम टेक्नोलॉजी को यूज करके अपनी पुरानी कलाओं को वापस लेके आ सकते हैं, एंड वर्ल्ड में वी कैन फाइंड अ स्पेस फॉर आवरसेल्व्स, a place for ourselves, and that is what we need to do. We must do that.
I'm so grateful आपने ये बोला है, because like yeah, you're right कि मतलब हमारी इकोनॉमीज डाउन हुई या करी गई, मुझे तो लगता है because I'm not at that level of outer skirts of security, मुझे लगता है ये डाउन करी गई कि जैसे इंग्लिश सिखाया हमें कि इनको इसी पे सिखाते हैं, इन्हीं पे इसके एग्जाम्स करते, तो वही इतना बड़ा ऑब्स्टिकल बन गया है। बट बुद्धि की भाषा नहीं होती है, एंड like I think you rightly said कि with technology अगर हम अपने skills को hone करें और टेक्नोलॉजी को करेक्टली यूज करें, and I'm hoping that the government also now allows us to क्रिएट फॉर इंडिया, क्योंकि ये जो एक्सटर्नल ERPs बन के आती हैं वो भी हमें वापस कंट्रोल कर रही है, क्योंकि डिपेंडेंसी बढ़ा रहे हैं वो लोग। तो आई एम होपिंग दैट द गवर्नमेंट इज लुकिंग इनटू अलाउ इंडिया टू डू देयर स्किल्स इन लैंग्वेजेस, सो दैट इफ पीपल नीड आवर स्किल्स दे शुड स्टार्ट स्पीकिंग द लैंग्वेज जो हमें आती है। आप हमसे बात करो, हमारी भाषा में बात करेंगे, हमारी बुद्धि के लिए, ठीक है? हम इंग्लिश में कुछ ट्रांसलेट नहीं करेंगे, वी डोंट हैव अ प्रॉब्लम, बट आई एम सेइंग दैट शुड नॉट डिफाइन हु आई एम, लाइक इंग्लिश शुड नॉट डिफाइन माय कैरेक्टर, राइट?
It is very right.
Great.
किसी को भी ये स्पेस मिलनी बहुत जरूरी है कि वो अपने जो उसकी लैंग्वेज ऑफ कंफर्ट है उसमें वो कम्युनिकेट कर सके अपने काम के लिए, ये बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट है। सो इंग्लिश कैन नॉट बिकम दैट मापदंड फॉर पीपल, बट यस व्हाट हैपेंस फॉर पीपल हु नीड टू रीड एंड रिसर्च, प्रॉब्ली दिस इज द बेस्ट लैंग्वेज बिकॉज मैक्सिमम लोग इसमें लिख रहे हैं। तो इसको जानिए, इतना जानिए कि आप पढ़ के समझ सकें। आपको बोलना बहुत अच्छा आना जरूरत नहीं है, आप फंक्शनल बोल रहे हैं वो बिल्कुल ठीक है। जैसे आज नॉर्मल हम लोग फ्रेंच बोल देते हैं टूटी फूटी, वैसी इंग्लिश भी बोल रहे हैं वो भी ठीक है, और वो एक्सेप्टेबल होना चाहिए। वो कोई मेजर नहीं होना चाहिए किसी की एरुडिशन।
करेक्ट। हाँ, तो मतलब वो भारत, बिकॉज हम लोग एज एक्सपर्ट कह रहे हैं कि जुगाड़ करना सीखो और अपने स्किल्स को होन करो. और like you said, going back to the kindness, now I'm going to bring in a little bit of the tech side of things, because आपने जैसे खुद बोला कि आप जियोलॉजी को वर्क कर रहे हो and you realize that digitization or technology is really important as we move forward into the future. And हाँ, मेरा थोड़ा सा टेक्निकल बैंड न्यूरो साइंसेस पे है. आई वांटेड टू आस्क यू, और मेरा आमतौर से क्वेश्चन होता है कि do you think kindness has an impact on your well-being from the person delivering it, so that then there's a ripple effect? But I will add a little bit to this, कि क्योंकि मैं आपसे इंस्पायर हो गई, that I know for a fact that neuroscientifically speaking, kindness जो होती है, it triggers this hormone called oxytocin और serotonin release होता है. ये actual fundamental chemical काम हो रहा है, ठीक है, body. So kindness is releasing that for you and for me or whoever's receiving it. We've understood. Now, do you think that's also a core hack for building a better team, building a better society, large term impact, कुछ crucial for morale building? क्या हो रहा है उसमें? Can you please break it down for me?
मेरे को तो लगता है बिल्कुल ब्रेक डाउन करने की जरूरत नहीं. बहुत ही सिंपल सी चीज है. हैप्पी टीम इज अ प्रोडक्टिव टीम. जो बंदा खुश होके जितना काम करता है वो दुखी होके नहीं कर सकता. हम भी नहीं कर सकते. If we are in a bad mood, we don't work as much as good as we work otherwise, right? So is it with teams. क्या आप अपनी टीम्स को, अगर आप अपनी टीम्स को खुश रखेंगे, उसकी प्रोडक्टिविटी ज्यादा ही होगी. एंड वो तभी होगा जब आप काइंड होंगे. एंड काइंडनेस इज नेवर शॉर्ट टर्म, इट्स ऑलवेज बिग. क्या आप उनको उनकी स्पेस दे रहे हैं, उनकी ग्रोथ की स्पेस दे रहे हैं? क्या आप उनकी एडिक्वेट ट्रेनिंग कर रहे हैं? क्या आप अपने और अपने बारे में सोचे बिना उनको स्किल अप करने दे रहे हैं, या उनकी स्किल का ध्यान रखना है? बिकॉज ये इकोसिस्टम बनाना जरूरी है. आपको ये नहीं सोचना है कि ये बहुत ज्यादा स्किल्ड हो जाएगा तो कहीं चला जाएगा. वो नहीं जाएगा. एक्चुअली उसकी लॉयल्टी बढ़ेगी सिस्टम के लिए जब आप उसका ध्यान रखेंगे. एंड वी आर ऑल ह्यूमन बीइंग्स, वी आर ऑल ग्रेट ह्यूमन बीइंग्स. वी हैव टू वर्क. एंड आई एम टेलिंग यू, optimism is infectious. When you have this optimism in your attitudes, it also, this same optimism remains with your team, where you do whatever they want for their betterment, and the team performs for you. The team stays with you, they stay loyal, they stay connected to each other. So I think kindness तो एक underlining theme होनी चाहिए किसी भी टीम की. बिकॉज तभी वो टीम साथ में रहेगी. और खुश रह के हम जितना काम कर सकते हैं, हम दुखी रहेंगे कभी नहीं करेंगे.
ग्रेट. और ये जो आप बेस्ट नोन फॉर हैं, अनफॉर्चुनेटली, बिकॉज हमें आपका बाकी काम नहीं पता है, वी नो दैट द टनल व्हेन इट कोलैप्स्ड. नाउ टेल मी, can you take us through that experience? Because there were a lot of people, we know that there were international people who come in. I know that the government, there was a lot of support, pressure. Of course, there were other people also relying on you. As the director, can you take us through what was going on? How do you keep yourself motivated or inspired or relaxed? What is going on in your head for someone who is finding themselves in a similar position? I'm not saying tunnel टूट गया है, but हम सबकी life में tunnel तो टूटते ही रहते हैं. From a director who's dealt with it, what is going on in your life at that point? Take us through that part that never came out and tell us what you learned.
So two things. One thing is, as director and as leading missions like this, tunnels or other tunnels under construction or otherwise, or situations like this, when you are a leader, you are the one who to lead the operation on or a mission or whatever that you're doing. You have to take load. That's the bottom line. That is the bottom line. You have to take, and it is your moral responsibility to ensure that you let least amount of stress go below onto your team, because your team is functional on the ground. You're probably seeing all parts. Everybody is trying to do their part, and you're the one who's that circus maker who has to ensure that everyone coordinates with each other. So it's very important that you keep your cool, keep the stress within you. Don't let the executive wings of the operation feel the stress, which means that you have to keep thinking ahead. I think foresight is extremely important. Planning is very, very important for anything, and it's extremely important that you keep yourself fully involved in that particular operation. For operations like the rescue operation, you have to keep reading the situation continuously. and keep seeing what's happening. And you have to keep your options open. So what happened? I'll take you to the Sirkyara thing. I must say that, people don't give the government of India probably not enough has been written about what a fantastic role the government of India played, wherein they ensured that there were so many options which were kept alive for rescuing these men. We kept reinforcing the main option. We kept adapting the main option of putting that auger through to get these 41 men out. When we realized that the auger can't go ahead because of the length of the hole that we had already made, we will have to probably do it manually. The rat hole miners were already there. Yes, they did an excellent job, and it's something where it's very courageous to do, to get into 40 meters of a hole and then try and dig mud and come out. It's really, really difficult. But for someone to have had the foresight to have kept them there, to have ensured that there is a way to give them oxygen supply when they're working, so these things were also very, very important. So our team had the foresight to do all that, and this was very important because there was a group of people who were like the coordinators of this operation, and we operated as a team. We kept our planning or our thinking or our strategy at least 3 days ahead of what was happening on the site. And the government of India enabled all of this by ensuring that whatever resources we required 3 days in advance were made available. Whether it was one rig coming out of the Bombay High in a matter of 50 hours into Dehradun, and then probably the next 15, 16 hours there at the site. So actually the physical part, getting those resources there at that site for this operation, it was a phenomenal effort by the government of India. And obviously the senior bureaucrats who were sitting there, who were very calm. And I can tell you one factor which really, really, really helped us was all of them said, we will take the pressure. We will take the pressure of the people, but we must do this as safely as possible. And that's why we went very deliberate. Probably we could have done that 1 week in advance, but we didn't need to. We just needed to ensure that we go slow enough to ensure that nothing happens to that auger that we were augering with, and nothing happens to the tunnel where our own rescue teams were standing, because that was also moving at that time. So we had made it a point, that we will do this mission without hurting any of the rescuers, and we'll get all of them out alive. And whether they were the international experts who were there on site, the engineers of the contractors who were there, the other organizations like RVNL, us from the army who had all gone in, we were there all the time, working together and working towards this one goal. And the government of India ensured that we got whatever resources that we could even dream of for that operation. So I think we need to give our country a big kudos for that. I think it was a fantastic operation by us as a nation. It was just I was fortunate to be a part of it. And since I'm a geotechnical engineer, so we were doing a lot of technical stuff around it. Monitoring every step, seeing that we're not going wrong anywhere, also monitoring the mountain, and also ensuring that the other approaches that we were trying to take for rescue, at certain stages we stopped them so that there is no interaction and there's not too much of movement in the mountain. We couldn't have this one place being drilled from 3-4 directions and then have something resonating with each other and having a collapse. And we could do that. So I think it was a great team effort, but an excellent effort by the nation as such. So
ग्लैड कि आपने ये शेयर किया. दो पार्ट से मेरे पे दो क्वेश्चंस हैं इसके, और मैं बिल्कुल यकीन में बैठी हूँ यहाँ पे, बिकॉज आई एम ऑल्सो नॉट दैट दिस इज माई पॉडकास्ट, बट आई वॉज एक्चुअली वर्किंग on an international organization side during COVID. I was leading the region for communications, and similar I think ये फिर से हुआ कि हमारे गवर्नमेंट को बिल्कुल I don't think बिल्कुल कुछ recognition भी मिलता है. थैंक यू तो छोड़ो, ट्रोल ज्यादा होता है. बट जैसे आपने बोला कि जितना बैकअप होता है, हाउ टू मिनिमाइज रिस्क, हाउ टू सेव एज मेनी पीपल, इतने ऑप्शंस हैं फॉर, I mean the amount, I mean I think the Prime Minister's office on their own, मोदी जी खुद इतने इन्वेस्टेड होते हैं, because I've seen him work with प्लान ए है तो प्लान ए का अप टू Z ऑप्शंस एंड रिसोर्सेज रेडी करो. प्लान बी है, if you're going ahead with C, there should be a Z, there should be a D, this is the backup, this is what will happen. The way that man works and then the way his organization support and work is never seen before. और मुझे लगता है उसी का रिजल्ट है कि India has been able to come up the way it has and you know we're back to being the सोने की चिड़िया, safe to say. तो आई डोंट नो क्यों, आपको क्या लगता है कि फर्स्टली क्रेडिट क्यों नहीं मिल रहा है और क्यों उस चीजों के बारे में बात नहीं हो रही है? बिकॉज इट वाज अ ह्यूज, it's a huge freaking deal. Like we didn't make it a bigger deal as 41 लोग coming out of a tunnel. और
No,
जैसे आप खुद भी जानते हैं कि टनल्स में से लोग, बहुत लोग एक्सपर्ट्स भी कह रहे हैं कि डेड ही निकलते हैं, like at that level of collapse.
True.
What was going on?
So you know, I said I was talking about Ayn Rand. You know, one great thing about that character Howard Rock, who was the protagonist in The Fountainhead, was you know that in the end I know that I've done it. I think that's how the government of India is. We know that we've done it. We don't need anyone to you know clap their hands for us. It's all right. We know.
जैसे हम सो जाते हैं घर पे कि आर्मी है देख लेगी, हम सेफ हैं.
So, yes, and that's how our government is. You know, they know that they've done this, and they're actually not looking for validation. They're strong enough to keep doing it again and again.
No, I agree. I think COVID also, and I think like I've seen the brunt, I've seen the amount of money that has been spent on countering the effort. एक पूरी industry चल रही है.
Absolutely, it'll happen. You know, we are as we're growing as fast as we're growing, we're threatening a lot of people in the world, and yes, so there will be efforts. You know, this is called grey zone warfare. So grey zone will exist.
बिल्कुल सही कह रहे हैं. एंड आई होप कि भारत ये सडनली एक बार एकदम रियलाइज कर ले हमारा पॉडकास्ट देख के कि देखो हम सब बहुत ज्यादा पावरफुल लोग हैं और हमें एक दूसरे का सपोर्ट करना है और काइंडली भी कर लेंगे तो अच्छा काम हो जाएगा, क्योंकि विकसित भारत बहुत सारे देशों को सिखा सकता है हाउ टू कंटिन्यू बीइंग द लार्जेस्ट लिविंग सिविलाइजेशन इन द वर्ल्ड इफ नॉट फॉर द पार्टीशन व्हिच इज India. Now the second question that I want to ask, because a lot of people have been navigating this, पर मैं आपसे खुद पूछती क्योंकि आप वहाँ थे. Everybody, nobody's saying it, but everybody's like भगवान का हाथ था उस दिन. What is your take on it?
So you know they say faith moves mountains. So I don't know. भगवान का हाथ तो होगा ही. We are Indians, you know. Can we do anything without God's blessing us? I don't think. I don't know. Yes, there was, and you know when so many people bestow their trust and faith in something, that becomes God. That is what we call God, maybe. And when so many people believe that these people are going to come out and they were praying for them, they had to come out alive. I think for me that's the definition of God. You know, that one unifying theme where so many people are aligned to and you know probably you know they put their trust in. So yes, one ka tha. Definitely tha. Can we do anything without the Lord up there? We can't.
Glad. Thank you for putting this to rest from the director himself. No, because a lot of people have sort of in hushed rooms have said, do you believe in God? And like, what are the, you know, the parallels of having this happen in Uttarkashi and then Kali's Mandir and then Shiv Shakti, and some people are saying, nahi, Shivji ne bachaya. Some people are saying, no, humans effort, or some people are saying these are vehicles. Like, it's just so many.
No, but that's true. That I totally believe. You know?
Please, khul ke baat
I don't know. But vehicles hai. हम लोग vehicles हैं. We are all vehicles of some energy somewhere, and why not? And I think yes. So whoever was there, or as I say, there was no one person who was instrumental. It was a huge team,
absolutely
backed up by the government of India everywhere. You know, also a lot of trust, a lot of prayers, a lot of people praying every day, a lot of people sending so much of food, so much of stuff, so many things, people privately trying to contribute to the operation. So there was so much of energy being pumped into the system, and there was you know, so God was always there to bless us, and probably all this is what we're all tools of some energy up there, and yeah, so that's how it was.
Lovely. Thank you for sharing. We're now going to quickly move into the faster answer question segment because the larger part is out. But are you ready for what we call the kindness quick start?
Sure.
Okay. You need a breather because you have to be really fast.
Okay.
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 Do you have a kindness quote or a motto that is your go-to or that inspires you?
The kindness motto. So,
Faster, turn up faster.
okay. So I think just give everyone their due. That's my kindness thing. If we can give everyone their due around us and allow them to live a respectable life, I think that's my thing. Give everyone their due. That's my kindness motto.
If kindness had a color, what color would it be and why?
Black, because that's Roxy.
Roxy. And I see. Roxy, for everybody who has missed the intro, is the little Rotty in the corner. It's a Rottweiler who's given us introductions. Hello, Roxy. Thanks for being on the Creating Kind of Content podcast. If kindness were a food, what would it taste like? Texture, details, all of it.
I think it would be. Since I'm based out of Ahmedabad, I have to say this. It's common, soft, yellow, juicy, yeah, and it can please anyone.
Lovely, lovely. If kindness were a sound, what sound would it make?
It would bark, I think.
Yeah, why do all dog owners just they're like barks? Yeah, okay, fair. It makes complete sense. Now, would you rather have the ability to make someone instantly burst into laughter or make them feel loved and cared for, and why?
I think if you love and care for someone, it sets in a chain reaction for other people also to be loved and cared for. So why not? Yeah, I would rather love and care. Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Now, getting back to the expertise you come from, if kindness were a leadership trait, what quality would define it?
Heavy shoulders.
Define करें ऐसे बड़े-बड़े words हैं या
Uh-huh.
क्या कैसे?
So I think if kindness was a leadership thing, it would be a leader who takes the maximum load in the mission. Because he can be kind to his team only by taking the biggest chunk of the stress which comes with anything to do. So you can be, that's the kindest thing that you can do to a team which is trying to achieve something, is to take their load.
Great. And for everybody watching, जिम जाने से लोड नहीं बिल्ड होते हैं, आपको मेंटल इमोशनल सारे वाले जिम्स में जाना पड़ता है, अपने सोल के पास भी है ना, तो सिर्फ बॉडी बिल्डर्स नहीं, we need shoulders that can take the load.
Absolutely. Yeah.
In all ways, है ना? Yeah. Now, from the Colonel himself, if kindness were a command, how would you give it? I already know how you're answering this, but
all of us need to get cracking and get this done. Yeah.
Straight to the point. Yeah. If kindness were a training exercise, which one would you include?
I think I would include a slow jog with the whole team together. Yeah, somewhere by a lake with lush green environment around us. Yeah, something like that. Yes.
So it is a chain reaction. That gentleman with his soft drink has left. Yeah, it's like, I think it's a great way to sum up the podcast. But if kindness were a superpower, what special ability would you want for it to have on you, and why?
If kindness was a superpower, what
special ability would you want for it to have on you, and why?
I think give me more emotional stamina. I would like to share as much as I can from people around me, and probably give them a keen ear, listen to them, and make them feel comfortable around me.
I think you already do, but sure, if that can get better, yeah, why not? The human beings are greedy. No, but okay, since it's an interesting answer from, well, they say the male side of the world is usually very emotionally locked out. Can you tell us how you've arrived to this answer, and why do you think you can still get better? Share it.
Yeah, I think at the end of the day, I believe that all of us can actualize only when we realize, and realization is not hunger. It's not material. It's always emotional. And I think most of the people around us need a shoulder sometimes for them to or an ear to say something, or a shoulder to weep on for a while, and then they can get their things going. And I think if you can be a friend to people around you, it really helps them achieve more in life. If you can be, I've always believed that if you can give somebody the feeling that they can fly as high as they want to, and if they fall, there will be somebody to catch that fall. They will fly even higher. So I think it's very important that you can become that safety net for people around you, where they can take that flight.
I love that. I love that. Thank you for sharing. And before we end, I need to ask you also, since we've spoken so much about kindness, and you've obviously through the format also shared the gestures or the small acts that we can do. But what is the most, if you want to share in detail or be a bit more non-specific about it, but specifics is great because this is the whole point. The most unkind thing that could have possibly ever happened to you or you've experienced around you, and how it's impacted you in a way where you would be like, oh god, like this could have changed, or like how did it affect you, impact you, lasted, not lasted, how have you dealt with it? Or also tell us what is that act of unkindness, because a lot of us actually don't even know what is unkind till we're like, oh yeah, this is wrong, oh I didn't know this was wrong. Like, yeah.
I don't know. I specifically somebody being unkind is, which is this is unreal. But I really don't remember that anyone being very unkind. But yes, what I see genuinely around me a lot of times is that people are never ready to see from the perspectives of the other person across. I think that is extremely unkind. Sometimes when we're judging people for their professional work and for their behaviors, we just can't see their perspective. It happens almost every day, and I think that is unkind because we fail to see from the perspective of the other person, and that is why in an hierarchical system we somehow tend to increase too much of stress on them, where we are asking them to perform in a certain way, where they're actually reeling under a lot of pressure with personal things and all. I think that's really unkind. It's really unkind if you know that someone has personal issues, you still expect them to do their bit and more on the professional grounds. I think if we can, wherever we can, we must make some space for them and support them in those times. I think, and I see this very often around me, that people are absolutely agnostic to emotional health of their own team members, and sometimes people who are junior to them in the hierarchy. I think that's really unkind, and as someone who leads a team, I think it is our responsibility to make some space for people when they are going through a rough patch. So I think, yeah, that.
I think that's for not just teams but also homes and families or friends or any kind of format, right? Because like you said, like if अगर आप हमेशा my way or the highway कर रहे हो, तो scope कहाँ है, जगह कहाँ है for somebody else to grow and not be disrespectful. But sometimes things have to be done a certain way to take people forward. Like there isn't a, you don't do this, give up on this human, you human are trash, like ये तो बहुत ही गलत है. Yeah, I think people need to be trained. Do you think there should be a course for this? Do you think we should special training?
There should be a course for this. There should surely be a course for this.
Empathy course.
Empathy. Yes.
Say
Okay.
yes.
Surely. Yes. That's the word, empathy. We need to have a lot more empathy. Yeah.
Colonel Parikshit, so grateful that you've done this for us, and I'm extremely conscious of your time and the energy you've put in and the vulnerability that you've shared all these episodes with. And so, not wanting to leave you depleted, this is your moment to ask me a question or share a feedback on being on the Creating Kinder Content podcast with me. So that I can also pour back into you or amplify your journey.
I love this. I love talking to you because, where do we talk of these things? We don't talk of these things enough, and we must. So that I'm grateful for. One thing that I want to ask you is, so how's this network? How many people have you been able to reach out to, and what is your viewership like, and what is the feedback that you get from your viewers of this?
Great, thank you. Thank you for asking. We started a year ago, and for anybody who may know my background, I've done a lot of media and communications, and I built my own company because I was fed up of companies telling us this works, this doesn't work. And as an academic, like I said, neurosciences, technology wise, I understand that algorithms are written to create fear and keep it, doom scrolling, so to keep yourself addicted to something. And I've seen the positive effects of technology, bringing people together, helping people on the ground, healthcare, being able to preempt a risk or whatever. So from that academic angle, I figured I should want to leave behind content where people actually get to know people as they are raw. We all make mistakes, but we all want to grow. What does kindness look like? Who are the faces of kindness? And so we've gone out to a lot of people. In a year, we've probably done 40 episodes or more. And while I will not lie, it's been
I
really
didn't see anyone because you told me not to. Otherwise, I would.
yes, because I didn't want you to come prepared, and I think you've done a great job. Thank you for listening to me. Thank you. I really appreciate your trust. But YouTube is not letting us grow because YouTube is very like not supportive of. There's no gossip. There's no vulgarity. There's no entertainment. They're not using bad words. What is this love and all kindness, care, and empathy they're talking about? So the podcast is taking really long, but I'm really grateful for the people who've been here, because I know that the generations forward will have stories like you and myself, because I didn't have, apart from the family that I've grown up in, and I'm really grateful. I've been surrounded by love and kindness. um, we've never been able to see what like a kind person would look like you said, the government never got credit for things, or you would probably, like, a lot of people have come out and made their own stories, but nobody knows who Colonel Parikshit is. How is he dealing with it? I want people to know how they dealt with it, because all of us have these tunnels every day. And our viewers, we've got a fairly good loyal viewership. We've got about 4 lakh views last year. And all of us comment, they're all concerned about why we're doing emotional content. But I think the overall consensus is the episodes feel like a warm hug in a mug. And I think that is.
That's great.
Yeah.
Great. So that's lovely. Thank you.
Thank you for being one of our ambassadors. I really appreciate it. I also want to share for everybody who's been on this podcast, it's a very, very, very hard selected set of people who are genuinely have been kind. Like, I'm not just bringing people because I think they're cool to hang out with. I've genuinely experienced kindness with them. And even though we've had really short exchanges, I think the fact that when you and I were meeting, you were very kind, you made space for me. The work that you do has had long term impact. And the fact that the entire room was waiting to be in your presence was already speaking volumes of the one of a kind human you are. So, yeah, not just making it up. Thank you.
Trying to do my best. Thank you.